So here's another example. Sketch the graph of y equals the absolute value of e to the x minus 1. So if we split that into the rule, that's two parts, then we have the case where everything stays the same if e to the x minus 1 is greater than 0. And that actually means that e to the x is greater than 1, which you can rewrite as e to the x, e to the x is greater than e to the 0, therefore x is greater than 0. The other case is where it is negative, so we multiply everything by negative 1, e to the x take away 1. If it is the opposite case, e to the x minus 1 is less than 0. Let's put some equals in. Forgot about that, sorry. So then this becomes e to the x is less than 1, which means e to the x is less than e to the naught, therefore x is less than naught. Now if you're visual, it's a lot easier to just sketch the inside of the absolute value first. So if we sketch that, then what you have is the basic e to the x graph like so, but it's been shifted down 1 unit, so that's the new asymptote here, so it's gone to there. So our basic first graph of what's inside there, it will have an asymptote of y equals negative 1, and we'll have a shape like this. And it crosses at 0, 0. Now once you take the absolute value, what that means is you keep the positives and keep them the same, but you have to reverse the sign of the negatives, which means these get reflected up here. So what we'll have to do is use a different color, perhaps black, for this side. So that's the final answer for these. And then this one gets flipped around like so, with a kind of a weird half asymptote. But technically speaking, it's not an asymptote for the whole graph because this point here will have the y value of 1. So looking at the graph of the black curve now, the domain is still R because it takes up all of the x values here. And the range starts at 0 and goes upwards in the y. So it's going to have a range that looks like this, 0, infinity. Or you might prefer R plus union 0. I personally prefer the first. For the y-intercept, I knew that because I could graph the blue curve without thinking about it, but let's say you didn't. So we'd say the y-intercept is when x equals 0, so y equals e to the 0 take away 1. E to the 0 is just 1, so 1 take away 1 is 0, and the absolute value of 0 is still 0. So therefore our y-intercept is 0, 0, which is the same as the x-intercept.